Hello, folks. Thanks again for all the comments, subscriptions, and friend requests from my last upload, Profiles in No Courage. Today I'd like to talk about something that has occurred here in Minnesota after the Gifford shooting in Arizona and following the request from many sides for restraint in future political language and literature. Despite such requests, the following brochure appeared in northern Minnesota as reported by the Associated Press on February 9, 2011, in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. The brochure was part of the Republican campaign for Paul Jacobson for a special election in the Minnesota House of Representatives. The election to be held on February 15, 2011. It's difficult to conceive that this brochure was on the streets approximately a month after the Gifford shootings, and that both the National Republican Party and the Minnesota Republican Party did nothing to condemn or recall it. As you can see, the front cover graphics consist of a man with a shotgun taking aim. Above is the caption, "Take your best shot," a phrase you would not think you would see on political campaign literature, especially at this point in time. In addition to the caption, "Take your best shot," inside the pamphlet there is a picture of the Democratic opponent of Paul Jacobson. The other caution on the front of the pamphlet is to, quote, "protect your gun rights from liberal St. Paul politicians." Now, St. Paul is the capital of Minnesota, and the people who put out the brochure apparently felt they could not attack their Democratic opponent directly, since she's known to be a gun rights supporter in this northern Minnesota district. Again, this situation has nothing to do with making political hay off of Gifford shooting. That happened a month ago. However, it has everything to do with ignoring what people hope might be learned from that tragic event. When the Minnesota State Republican Party head Tony Sutton was asked to disavow the ad, his response was that it was, quote, "obviously a hunting piece," unquote. I'm certain he didn't mean it that way, but it's chilling to think how someone who is out of touch with reality could put this statement together with the pamphlet's cover, together with the Democratic opponent's picture inside, and act on it. If this is just, quote, "obviously a hunting piece," unquote, I'm not sure why the state Republican Party paid for it as part of a political campaign, or why they have the Democratic opponent's picture displayed inside the brochure. Normally in political literature, you do not even want to mention your opponent's name, let alone include their picture. Publishing and failing to withdraw this type of political literature while the nation is still mourning the deaths in Tucson makes me wonder if we as a nation have learned anything from the Tucson tragedy. Those responsible for this poorly conceived and poorly timed piece of political gunlit should be ashamed of it, but instead they continue to refuse to take responsibility for it, pull it, disavow it, or repudiate it. Needless to say, following the recent events in Tucson, the Democratic challenger in this special election was very upset with the brochure. She has stated she has always been a supporter of gun rights, and also says in the article that she got her own first firearm when she was age 14. She has requested that uniformed officers be present for the rest of her debates with Paul Jacobson prior to the February 15, 2011 election. So I believe that if the Minnesota National Republican Parties had any intellectual honesty, they would have put out a political pamphlet for Paul Jacobson that would have looked something like the following. Okay, to save some of you on YouTube from expending a lot of wasted keystrokes, here are a few clarifications. First, of course, I photoshopped in the machine gun in place of the hunting shotgun. I did it to visually help make the points that follow. By the way, you can buy this machine gun and ammunition for it on the internet. That's where I got the image. Secondly, the debate about whether people mentally ill or otherwise can be influenced in their actions by what they see and hear in the media may be fun, but doesn't mean much scientifically. Nearly a century of advertising psychology research has shown pretty conclusively that our actions can and are influenced by the media messages we see and hear. If you're still in doubt, ask the Super Bowl advertisers why they're wasting massive sums of money per second on advertising for which there's no proof it will affect the actions of the viewers. Third and lastly, I know there is no logical comparison between a hunting shotgun and the machine gun shown, but I'm not the one who's refusing to make a distinction between the two. The nation's gun lobby is apparently afraid to open any discussion at any time on the type of guns that should be banned or more strictly controlled than the family hunting shotgun. They seem to believe the start of any such discussion would begin a creeping expansion of bans on gun ownership in general. So they consistently refuse to take part in any discussion that differentiates between hunting rifles and machine guns, and between target pistols and murder weapons with extended clips. The gun lobby and the Republicans they support may picture a hunting shotgun on this unfortunate political brochure, but their consistent refusal to differentiate what types of weapons should be banned and which should be controlled more strictly than the family hunting rifle or shotgun means they are fighting for what is shown in my machine gun version of the brochure. Let's hope this changes in the future. Let's hope the reaction of independent, moderate Republican voters to this type of campaign literature will cause Minnesota and national Republican leaders to repudiate and recall it in the future. I hope the voters realize that those who stoop to this level cannot be trusted to have the voters and the nation's best interest at heart should they be elected. I've attached the whole Associated Press article from the February 9th edition of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune here at the end of the video, should you want to read the whole thing. One good note, however, the Democratic candidate, Carly Merlin, in this election did win decisively on February 15th. Let's hope all political parties will learn from results like these that quote-unquote negative campaigning does not quote-unquote always work. Check out my channel for other uploads. Currently, my most highly viewed upload is Sarah Palin wins the Dan Quayle Potato Trophy with about 3,000 views to date. That's Quayle, spelled Q-U-A-Y-L-E, and potato, spelled P-O-T-A-T-O-E. In it, I attempt to show that former vice presidential candidate Dan Quayle and Sarah Palin may very possibly be twins who were separated at birth. Until next time.